Good evening and welcome into the WNK page. I am George Herbig, Chief Forecaster here for Weather Now Kentucky. And as always, we're live on both YouTube and Facebook tonight. So if I do respond to some comments that you're not necessarily seeing, don't worry. It's probably on the other platform. Also to note, I'm in kind of a temporary setup at the moment. As you guys know, we're getting the nursery ready for my little boy to be here soon. We're also preparing a different room to be my new space. But that's just taking a little bit of time. So my second monitor is pretty far away. So if you see me leaning over there it's to read comments and whatnot. So don't be too freaked out by that. Mike, Audrey, and Akaris, welcome on YouTube. Hello, how are you guys doing? Ivy, hello. Oh my goodness. Okay, we haven't done that already. Okay, I'll get that taken care of. Ivy, how are you doing? Angie, hello over there on Facebook. Of course, as always, while we're waiting, if you wouldn't mind, tap this share button at the bottom portion of your screen if you're on Facebook over there. That puts the video onto your news feed so your friends and family can view it as well. We are dealing with two or three separate little systems. Well, I wouldn't say separate systems. They're all part of the same system, but two or three separate times that we're looking at here over the next 24 to 36 hours, and they're all during the late night hours or early morning hours. So we want to make sure we get this information out to as many people as possible because that can catch a lot of folks off guard. So help us out with doing that. Again, you can do that by tapping the share button at the bottom portion of your screen if you're on Facebook. If you're on YouTube, you can hit the share button and share the link as well. But on Facebook, it's really simple to do. So thank you guys a lot for your help with that. I'm already seeing the shares go up. Thank you a lot. We'll get started here in about 2 minutes. I think I said 8 p.m., so I want to give everyone some time to come in here. Of course, as you're following on in, say hello in either of the chats. Make sure I can greet you all. Mike says happy Monday on YouTube. It was a beautiful day today. Oh my goodness. But if you've been in Kentucky long enough, you know that if warm weather comes in either January or February or heck, even March, it usually comes at a price. It usually comes at a price. And we will be paying that price Tuesday morning and Wednesday morning. We'll get into all of those details. We have our forecast ready. We'll also be looking at the SPC's forecast, which is the Storm Prediction Center from the National Weather Service. We'll also be looking at actual model data as well, so that you guys can see firsthand a little bit of what we're looking at. We look at it a little bit deeper, but we'll look at some of the things on the surface. So thank you to everyone tuning in. Once we get to 50 shares, we'll get started on everything. The reason I kind of have that number once again obviously helps us. Secondly, and most importantly, it helps to get the information out to as many people as possible. Again, when you're dealing with systems that come during the nighttime, it can catch a lot of people off guard. And what I want to say real quickly before we do go into the information is please, 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 please make sure that you have multiple ways to get alerts or notifications from the National Weather Service regarding severe warnings. So we learned, last week or what is it, a few days ago, where everyone lost cell coverage, right? That means you also lost alerts on your phone for emergency alerts. So let that be a reminder. You want to have a weather radio or other types of ways to get alerts if things go sideways for cellular coverage as well. Dana, hello there on Facebook. One more days like today. Karen, hello, how are you doing? All good weather comes to an end. It really does, and it was beautiful today, and we'll cover that. And again, we have so much to cover. We have so much to cover. Thank you guys for all the shares on Facebook. Again, once they get up a little bit more, we'll get going. That's just kind of a good measuring stick for me to know when it's time to roll. So welcome to everyone tuning in. If you are just now tuning in, I am Chief Forecaster George Herbig here with Weather Now Kentucky, and we do have two or three, probably three different time frames to look at over the next 32 hours. We do expect multiple rounds of strong storms, some of which will be severe. And we're also talking about different parameters that are on the table. For example, that first round, we're looking at more at a large hail threat. And what I mean by large hail is anything more than 2 inches in diameter. When you start talking about hail that's that big, you're starting to talk about damages to roof, siding, vehicles, injuries to folks that are outside as well. So we have that to talk about. That second round is a little bit of a mixture of both. And then that third round is more of unfortunately, a QLCS event, quasi-linear convective system, blah, 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 blah. A big, strong line of thunderstorms that will produce a couple of tornadoes, and we'll talk about that as well. So a lot of not only different time frames we're talking about. We're talking about different areas of Kentucky at different times that will be impacted, and also we're talking about different parameters. So we will have a little bit of a Q&A at the end, toward the end of the video. But really importantly for like the majority of the video, just make sure you pay attention to each and everything that we're saying, because it will be different areas of the state. So thank you to everyone sharing the video on Facebook. I appreciate your help getting those shares up. Thank you so much. James Mark, Connie, hello. Connie says it was perfect today. Briley says she has a big question. I'm not really sure what that is. Audrey, today was absolutely gorgeous. I wanted to start planning today already. Yeah, don't do that, because even though it is warm outside, the whole reason we're talking about storm systems for Tuesday and Wednesday, it's a part of a big cold front. And that's kind of what we said. We'll go ahead and start rolling on things here. Thank you guys again, once again, for all your shares and likes and comments on everything. But what we said about 10 days ago is actually what's occurring now throughout last Saturday as well. And it'll continue to happen. We're in a period of the El Nino phase where we're actually seeing abnormally warm temperatures. Today, records were set all across the country, especially here in Kentucky as well. I think Louisville got all the way up to 77 degrees today. Most folks in Kentucky did do that as well. But what we're seeing is periods of warm weather. But within those periods of abnormally warm weather, we're seeing several cold shots. And we're actually seeing this all the way out until April. Okay. Now, I'm not saying winter's going to stick around all the way until April or whatever it might be that anyone's going to take that as. But what I am saying is we could see several periods of what we're going to see over the next 32 hours. It's something that we could see quite often up until about the April timeframe, and then we'll start transitioning into more of a spring, just full-on spring aspect of things. So that's kind of what we're looking at there. Let's go ahead and roll into our data that we're talking about tonight. Let me pull up our main screen here. And of course, the display is not being captured. You know, we're just really rocking and rolling, aren't we? Perfect. There we go. Okay. First one, what I want to look at here is actually the highs that we saw today. This plays into a lot of what we're going to see on Tuesday and Wednesday as well. Look at that little number out there. 78 degrees for Ohio County was the high out there. You got really close to 80. And we're talking about 80 degrees in February. You know something's going to be coming on that back end of that, especially since we're talking about a cold front that's going to be entering on Wednesday, bringing all this juice for us. A little bit cooler out there in eastern Kentucky, of course, up there in the mountains. Only a high of 56 out there. But overall, low to mid-70s for most folks today throughout Kentucky. And dew points were pretty comfortable as well. That will be changing. Tomorrow is going to be a lot more muggy. You'll feel it be a lot heavier outside. And you can just kind of feel the difference in atmosphere. So let's go ahead and take a look on over here. What I also wanted to show you is that we do have an update on the alert day. We do have that set for Tuesday and Wednesday now, not just Wednesday. So we do have some changes there for the alert day. And again, it is going to be going into effect on Tuesday and Wednesday, not just Wednesday anymore. The Tuesday portion of it, going to be quite interesting one, and we'll break that down. But the Tuesday one kind of snuck up on a lot of folks because it just, quite frankly, it didn't really show any promising aspects. We looked at some rain showers possibility as of 48 hours ago. Now it's looking like a possibility of strong hail throughout Tuesday morning. We'll break that down. And then once again, 2 more rounds on Wednesday morning. So again, overnight time frames is what we're looking at for the alert days. Let's go ahead and put this into motion here. I'm going to zoom this into the local view so that way you can kind of see in more of a local aspect how the storms are tracking, and then we'll pull that out to the regional view and kind of show you what ingredients are there, what ingredients are missing, and what we expect to happen because of that. So let's go ahead and push this on forward here to overnight tonight. You can see throughout tonight, nothing really major here. Go outside, start a little bonfire up if you like. A beautiful night outside tonight. There are some mosquitoes that are flying around. Kind of interesting to happen in February, but that's the result when you get multiple days that are in the 60s and 70s. So for all of you folks that wanted all of that rain and warm weather that came instead of snow, this is your punishment. Really, I blame you guys. I'm just playing. But it's kind of the result, right? When you're talking about really mild temperatures and lots of rain that we've had the last 3 to 4 weeks, you're talking about earlier starts to spring, but you have to remember that in the middle of that, you're still in winter technically. You're going to get those cold shots, and that's how we get these rounds of strong to severe weather to push through this day. So let's go ahead and push this on through here. A few sprinkles maybe tonight, nothing really crazy. Going into the early morning hours is where things get interesting. So what I want you to note is we go from really clear aspects of things, nothing even popping up right here. And then we fast forward 2 more hours to about 3 a.m. Central Time, 4 a.m. Eastern Time. You can start to see some initiation is occurring out here for the western side of things. And I will tell you that there's a lot, and I do mean a lot, of wind energy happening above our heads, about 7,000 feet up. Lots of wind energy above our heads. There won't be a whole lot of surface energy, basically energy down here at the ground. So we're talking about elevated storms that could occur between 4 a.m. to 7 a.m. Tuesday morning. So here in about roughly 8 to 10 hours. Now, these don't look like anything mean on the reflectivity, but when I pull this back and I click on the sounding here, now this is going to look like a bunch of gibberish to a lot of you, and honestly, it is. But for the most part, what we're looking at here is this bottom left corner. If you notice where it's lit up in red and it says ship, that is significant hail index parameter, okay? When that goes over 2.0, and you're starting to approach 3, you're talking about some really large hail potential. Now, I will tell you that this is lacking a little bit of surface energy. So if we look over here, I don't know if you can quite see it. Yeah, you can. So where it says SFC, and then we look at CAPE, and we look at this 0 number here on this axis, that's basically no surface energy for this to work with. But what I want to point out on the other end of that aspect, you need 2 things to really happen for strong to severe weather, guys. Really, you need more than that. But the 2 main things are your CAPE and your shear, okay? If you're looking for, if you're not looking for severe weather, but if you're looking to forecast severe weather, this shear number right here between the surface and 6 kilometers up, it needs to be about over 40. We are at about 60. The higher you are, the more likely it is for the shear to be a better factor for storms to thrive. What you're looking for here is surface CAPE of about 500 or more. You can see it's 0. But when we start going up into the atmosphere and we start looking a little bit more into the mixing layers, that's where we start seeing some CAPE occur. So that's what we talk about when we're talking about elevated storms. Storms that are actually a little bit above our heads, not necessarily at the ground. And when that happens, you have almost a no tornado threat, which is lovely, right? And then again, this is just for the first round of storms. We still have 2 more rounds to talk about that will feature a tornado threat, unfortunately. For this first round, we're looking at more of an elevated storm threat, and that usually results in hail. And we're talking about a little bit of CAPE and the mixing layer and a lot of shear and a lot of helicity. You can start to get some really large hail, 2 to 3 inches in diameter, from around baseball or golf ball to baseball size. And we're talking about something in between those 2 sizes or even closer to baseball. We're starting to talk about pretty large hail that can cause a lot of damages to vehicles, roofs, sidings. So if you, we're about to show you the forecast image for tonight, or I'm sorry, for Tuesday morning. If you're in that little black box that we've identified, and I'll show you that here in just a second. I want to make sure that you kind of have some protection outside. The only thing that could save us really is if there's a cap in place. And there is a small cap. If you see this right here, which says negative 338, that's for your SIN, your convective inhibition, yada, yada, yada. Basically, what it means is that a small cap or a lid is over the environment. Storms will have to break through that. Do I think storms will break through that? Absolutely, because the jet stream is really whipping. It's starting to crank up now. As we head throughout the early morning hours, you'll start to see it really start to crank up there and create some forcing to allow storms to be able to thrive throughout the early morning hours. So that's that big old scientific thing there. Those will actually start, again, right around the western Kentucky portion of the area, west to central, just west of I-65, and that will track over toward eastern and northeastern Kentucky. That is your first round. Let me go ahead and pull this up right quick for you. I had this already, and then for some reason everything closed out as soon as I started the video, which was always a lovely thing to happen. I believe it's this image. It is. So this is our forecast for the first round. Remember, this is just the first round. We posted this earlier on Facebook. If you haven't seen it, here it is. Again, this is just the first round. 3 a.m. to 7 a.m. still looks like a pretty good time frame. Again, it won't look like anything crazy on the reflectivity, but we do think some large hail is at play. It won't be widespread. only small little spots within these lines of storms will see it. So just because you're in the black box doesn't 100% guarantee you're going to see large hail tonight, and you should think the worst. This is just the general area where hail is possible. You can see we have a 4 out of 5 on our hail index parameter there, 3 out of 5 on the wind, 0 out of 5 on this round for tornadic activity. Again, this is 3 a.m. to 7 a.m. on Tuesday morning. Next round we have is a bit more interesting. So we go throughout Tuesday. Tuesday actually looks pretty good. There are some small rain showers that will make their way through southeastern Kentucky throughout the early afternoon hours. And then another round of rain showers. These could have a few rumbles of thunder with them for the late afternoon hours going across central and northeastern Kentucky. I don't really expect any severe weather with that. Again, not a whole lot of juice happening for them at that time. But they'll kind of spread out on there to eastern Kentucky. Then we have our next bad boy rolling through. Now, this is storm line number 2 out of 3 here. And this will scoot across southwestern Indiana. In Indiana, if you are by chance in here from Indiana and you are on the other side of the Ohio River up there, you really need to look out on Tuesday night going into Wednesday morning. That is an area that could see a couple, if not 3 or 4 tornadoes, and a couple of them might actually be pretty strong. A lot of storm juice occurring up there, a lot of mixing. When you hear us say mixing, it's basically referring to the best spot where dew points, temperatures, storm energy, wind speeds, everything kind of just mix in the best spots possible. I do think southern Indiana is that place, but a few places in Kentucky could also get there as well. So as I push this on forward here, you kind of see it just scoots across the Ohio River, might touch Owensboro, might touch Henderson. If it shifts south a little bit, might touch into the Jefferson County areas and then hit up there toward northeastern Kentucky. And when I click on this sounding, I don't want anyone to freak out because it's going to tell you that a tornado is possible, but that's just how it always does there. What I want you to look at more so is the difference between this sounding and the last sounding that we looked at. So remember on the last sounding that we looked at, this SFC, or aka surface, the surface cape was 0. The surface cape for this sounding is 363. So it doesn't really meet that 500 parameter, but there is surface cape there. There is way more mid-level cape there, or mixed layer cape there. There's also this lit up down here, STP SID. Basically, that's your significant tornado parameter. Now, that's lit up at about a 2.5, which is moderate. Is nothing crazy. And when we go over here and we look at the hodograph, fancy word for winds as we go up in the atmosphere here on the right side, this is going to look kind of crazy here. But we see this 1, this 2, this 3, this 4, this 5. These are different layers of the atmosphere, okay? And as we see it, we can see that this winds here at the surface start here, and then they turn as they go up, and then they continue to turn into a counterclockwise motion. That tells us that these line of storms will be rotating. That also tells us when we look down here at D Cape, okay? And some people don't like this, and if you don't like it, you can kind of just wait till later and skip through this portion of the video. But I think it's so important to teach as we go, because the more we know as human beings, the better off we are, right? So this D Cape down here at 1037 tells us that this is an up or a downdraft that's going to occur as well. When you're talking about D Cape of plus 1,000, even really plus 700 to 800, but when you talk about plus 1,000, a downdraft will occur. So what does all of this tell us? We got a rotating storm in the top right. We have surface energy in the bottom left there. We have a plethora of helicity and shear. And we also have D-Cape that's present at plus 1,000. This tells us that a tornadic or a tornado or two is possible within this line. So when I pull up our forecast here, I'm going to show you. Again, I had all these open, and then they just decided to close as soon as I started the video. So this is our forecast from Wednesday AM. Now, this is part 1. Remember, there's a part 2 to Wednesday AM as well. But what I want to show you is 1 AM to 3 AM for this line. And we do have northeastern Kentucky highlighted. And honestly, we could probably add a second red box to the tornado box here, or tornado chart. We only held off on 1 for now, just because we need to see how the environment unfolds on future runs. But you could easily add a second box to that. When I just broke it down to you, I explained to you all the parameters that we look at. They're all met. The only thing that isn't really met is the surface cape. It's about 100 joules short. Basically, it's just a smidge short of what it should be for looking out for tornadic activity. Okay, but we could add a second box to that. You can notice the hail threat is much lower as well. It is there, but since these storms are closer to the ground, hail won't have enough time to get larger in size. The more that hail travels, in our atmosphere, it can get colder and colder, thus creating a bigger hailstone. When the storms are closer to the ground, they don't have as much time to travel. Hailstones are smaller. Wind energy or wind threat is only at about a 3 out of 5. I don't think we're looking at a massive wind threat for this line. You could have some areas or some small pockets of 60 plus mile per hour, absolutely. But I don't think we're looking at anything super widespread. So that's why it's a 3 out of 5 there. Once again, I could put the tornado threat a little bit higher on this line. Again, this is just storm number 2 out of 3, mainly targeting northeastern Kentucky and right along the Ohio River back toward the Evansville area. So we'll keep an eye out for this. Again, this is 1 a.m. to 3 a.m. This is storm number 2 out of 3. I'm going to go ahead and get our forecast pulled up for our next storm line as well. And before I show you that, I'm going to actually show you the model data. Oh, perfect. It's already there. Let me go ahead and grab my my apple juice here. I'm a big apple juice fan. I'm a big juice fan in general. I love orange juice, apple juice, pineapple juice, all that stuff. So let's go ahead and back this up a little bit. So again, we looked at Tuesday morning. We looked at the first line on Wednesday morning. And what we're going to notice is a second line of storms beginning to develop back out here toward western Kentucky. Now, as these push into Kentucky, they'll become a bit more organized. As we back us up a little bit, you can see they start off as a couple of cells out there toward western Indiana and Illinois. Don't look like anything super impressive, but then they come into an atmosphere that really hasn't been touched in a while. So again, when we go back to the last time it's been touched, we're looking at about 4 p.m. on Tuesday. So this environment, and of course, we're talking about temperatures on Tuesday and Wednesday, or on Tuesday, I'm sorry, that are going to go back up into the upper 60s or 70s in most places. So we're talking about an environment that not only had 70s and close to 80 degrees today in full sunshine. We're talking about an environment that tomorrow will go back up near those same parameters. And we're talking about a loaded environment of juice. And so as this pushes on through to western Kentucky, you can see it becomes more of a line of storms. So when we have a shape of storms that's like this and some of the ingredients that we're looking at here, I'll save you the boredom of everything. We're looking at a QLCS event, basically meaning a quasi-linear convective system line of thunderstorms. Most notably with this type of thunderstorms, not a lot of people know this, but there's different types of thunderstorms that you're dealing with, okay? And on this part of thunderstorms that we're looking at here, these are notable for a strong line of winds because it's such a thin line of storms. But also within that line of storms, you get what we, not what we call it, but what you refer to as spin-up tornadoes. Now, typically spin-up tornadoes are because of little pockets of rotation, and usually are accompanied by little to no storm juice. What I will say is that there is a little bit more surface cape with these. Let me go ahead and click on this and show you. What I want to show you is that, remember, back on that second line of storms, we saw surface cape of about 300. Now we're looking at surface cape of about 700 part of these storms. Some places will be all the way up to 1,000. Again, don't get scared by this over here. That's just an automated general output that it puts. Okay, so don't get thrown off by that. Just kind of follow my mouse cursor here. What we're looking at here is more of surface cape. So storms are closer to the ground. And overall here, we see that this becomes moist closer to the ground as well. So we know that these storms are closer to the surface, and that's what we're talking about, a little bit more energy for perhaps a few spin-up tornadoes, as well as some enhanced wind gusts. What I want you to also note is that the helicity is much lower, but it is still severe. It still meets that severe kind of guideline. Also to note, the shear is much higher. So we're talking about lower helicity, a little bit of higher shear, definitely higher cape. That means these storms are closer to the surface. Also, if we look up here to the top right, we can see a very sharp turn to the right by the winds as they go up into our atmosphere. So that means the winds are swirling as they go up. They're turning right as they go up into our atmosphere. So once again, we have those boxes check marked. Nothing really popping off the charts down here in our our supercell or STP box down there. D Cape is at a modest 791. So we're looking at some decent downdrafts occurring, but nothing crazy. So we're looking at a quasi-linear convective storm system. And again, so this will be a general line of thunderstorms in different pockets, and it's impossible to tell exactly where those pockets are going to set up. But within those pockets, some small isolated pockets, you can see spin-up tornadoes happen. You can see enhanced straight-line wind gusts. You can even see some hail being thrown out. Lots of lightning with this, by the way. This is going to be a loud line of storms. So if you're trying to sleep through this, you're probably going to have a bit of a difficult time. So as that pushes on through, this is again valid for 3 a.m. Eastern time as it pushes through into western Kentucky. As I fast forward this a little bit, you can start seeing some of these gaps occurring within the line. So what that tells us is we'll have a dead spot somewhere, and then next to those dead spots will be enhanced pockets, the ones that we just talked about. Again, impossible to tell where that's going to set up as of right now. Now, you can look at this model and go, hey, it's going to occur in Meade County, right? But realistically, it's going to be a little bit different than how it looks on model data. Now, what I will tell you is that the northern side of Kentucky will actually be more of the severe side. This southern side, you can see, it's kind of already fallen apart a little bit. The northern side, once again, is the severe side because the northern side is closer to the low pressure to our north. So as I push this on forward here, you can see it's staying strong north of the parkways going up toward northeastern Kentucky, starting to fall apart down here in southwestern and south central Kentucky, and that'll be the case as we push this on forward. It really just turns to a massive thunder shower event for eastern Kentucky. So this is our forecast for that so far. And again, so for these Wednesday storms, we'll probably come out with modified forecasts, a little bit better images so we can be better understood. But here's our Wednesday AM risk. Hail is a 2 out of 5. Wind is a 4 out of 5, again, because we can get those enhanced pockets. We're talking about probably up to 70-mile-per-hour winds in some small pockets with this. And then the tornado threat is a 2 out of 5 for this risk as well. 3 a.m. to 7 a.m. Now, the tornado risk being a 2 out of 5 does not necessarily guarantee tornadic activity is going to be across the entire box here. But again, some small pockets within that big line of storms there will produce a couple of spin-up tornadoes. It's just about identifying where. See, the overall storm motion has now moved from a straight east. Now it's going more southeast. We can tell that because the cold front's coming in behind it. So what I'm going to show you here real quickly as well is, again, we're looking at a big cold front occurring. So here's our temperatures for right now. And then you kind of just fall off there. Don't really get very cold at all tonight. And temperatures will be in the low 60s, so if you want to leave your windows cracked open tonight, feel free. It's going to be beautiful. And then as we push this on forward to Tuesday morning, you can see we warm all the way back up into the mid to upper 60s for most folks. You can see western Kentucky is going to push 80 degrees. I will tell you that right now. They will push 80 degrees out there. I don't know if they'll quite get there. It all depends on how much sunshine comes over that way. But again, another beautiful day tomorrow with a few rain showers mixed in on the lighter side for central and eastern Kentucky. And then as we get on toward Wednesday, look at the top left portion of the screen there. You see how the colors changed? Here comes the cold front. Look at that thing. Look at it just smack in. It just smacked in. So remember, E-Town, like look at E-Town, for example, okay? So you go back, let's say, to 11 p.m. So we're at the 35-hour mark. So by the time we get to 45 hours, so 10 hours, that's your difference. That's what we're talking about. That's the reason for these storms is the cold front is smacking in to a abnormally warm environment, and that almost always results in strong to severe storms somewhere, wherever that cold front is smacking into. So again, the difference of 10 hours is quite drastic. So again, this is for 11 p.m. on Tuesday night, midnight actually, Eastern time, 70 degrees out there in Paducah. We fast forward 10 hours, boom, 32 degrees. So we're talking about a drop of almost 35 degrees in a matter of 10 hours. Quite drastic stuff ongoing. Matter of fact, it can get even colder than that on Wednesday night. So again, that's the kind of the reasoning for everything there. A cold front smacking right in to a really warm environment. I am going to answer your questions now at this point. I appreciate everyone tuning in. I'm going to answer some questions. Before we get to that, though, I got to take care of some business. These people help give us the ability to be here for you. So I hope you listen to what they have to say here. RompFest returns on June 26th to June 29th in 2024 at Yellow Creek Park in Owensboro, Kentucky. They have so much fun for kids and adults, and they have a star-studded lineup this year, including Molly Tuttle and the one and only Dark Bentley, and so many more. It's an absolute blast for all ages. Make sure you check out their website at rompfest.com if you want more information on that. Right Implement has so many deals going on lawnmowers and other equipment. Get ready for this spring. As we kind of see, my grass is already sprouting outside, and I've already been talking with them about getting a mower up here for us here at the house, because they have great equipment, truly great equipment, fair pricing. You can get so many great deals out there. Right Implement, over 15 locations throughout throughout Kentucky. So a ton of locations to choose from. Great customer service, awesome deals, and high quality equipment. Right Implement is the only choice. It's not one of the choices, the only choice for great stuff this spring. Finally, last but not least, Box Drop Bar Sound. They got a great deal going on right now. A free pillow with the purchase of an already high quality mattress, marked at 30 to 80% off. I wish I had gotten a mattress from them, because I've only heard great things. And also, check out our friend here who took advantage of that free deal. Got herself a free pillow. Got herself a high-quality mattress at up to 80% off. You'd be a fool not to take advantage of that. So thank you to all of those businesses. I appreciate them, because they give us the ability to be here for you guys full-time. Great stuff. So go support them if you have a chance. If you really support us, if you have a chance or desire, go support them as well. Let them know we sent you. By the way, you get that free pillow if you mention W&K after you make a purchase with Box Drop Bar Sound with a mattress. Let me go ahead and take a drink of my juice here. I'm going to take about 5 minutes here, answer some questions and stuff, because new data is coming in now. So we'll have a forecast update out here probably at about 10 p.m. Eastern time, so in about 90 minutes. But I want to get on that here soon. How long will the cold front linger? Lauren, not long at all. Not long at all. Storm season is my favorite season. I do love me some storms. I just don't like the dangers they present for some folks. I think a lot of times we forget that. Brenda on YouTube says, hello, Derby City here. It got to 78 in my area. This is leading up to tornado awareness season. Absolutely. The rate of tree damage is possible in some small pockets, especially the more north you go towards Cincinnati. Although have a high chance of tornadic activity. I don't think anyone has a high chance of tornadic activity, but I do think the chance is there for Louisville, especially on the second round and third rounds. So Wednesday morning. I think on Tuesday morning, you're looking more at a hail threat. Now, that doesn't guarantee that I think a tornado is actually going to happen within the city of Louisville. It's impossible to tell exactly where a tornado is going to track before it happens. It truly is. But I will just say there is a chance. Can we trade it for snow? I wish. What about Georgetown? I just got on here. I think Georgetown could definitely see some strong to severe storms Tuesday morning and Wednesday morning. So I think there's a solid chance. You just got to pay attention to the forecast for any changes. I will say, look, this forecast can change depending upon if the rain on Tuesday morning and Tuesday afternoon linger or is much wider. It will limit how warm Kentucky gets Tuesday afternoon and evening, which will limit the storm juice. Bowling Green, I think you're a little bit too south for a lot of the action. I think you're really looking at mainly just some rain showers, thunder showers, probably here a few thunderstrikes as well. But when you're talking about the actual severe threats, I think you're a little bit too far south of almost every line. Again, we'll let you know if that changes. The worst part is the mosquitoes. Yeah, Christy, I think when everyone's begging for warm weather while it's cold, they oftentimes forget what comes along with that warm and rainy weather. Bugs are definitely sprouting up out there. We went over to my sister's house tonight and had a little dinner with them outside, and it was definitely felt like it was May already. We'll warm back up Thursday. Yeah, Dana, I don't think this cold front lasts long. Again, what we're talking about and kind of what we mentioned 10 days ago, we're looking at a mainly warm pattern, right? But a couple of cold shots intermittently, basically meaning that we'll see cold shots about every 4 or 5 days, but they'll only last a day and a half maybe. Perry County, Eastern Kentucky, definitely be on the lookout for some strong weather, Laura. Again, if you're asking about like timing and different zones and whatnot, all those images that we showed on this video is actually on our Twitter and Facebook. So if you haven't already, go check that out there. They're already there. I posted them almost 2 or 3 hours ago. I think overall, once again, I'll go back through here. A lot of people, different people in here asking pretty much the same questions over repeatedly. So I want to make sure I kind of just go back over once again here. Let me pull it up real quick. So this is our forecast for the last round. So the third round, again, kind of a black box over much of Kentucky. Now, again, we'll update this. New data is coming in now, and we'll look at data tomorrow morning as well, and we'll update this and have this refined. This is the third round on Wednesday morning from 3 a.m. to 7 a.m. Let's go back here toward the last round, or the second round, I mean. Let's get this in order here, actually, so I can stop confusing people. Okay. So this is the second round here. So this is, again, Wednesday morning, 1 a.m. to 3 a.m. This is a smaller line of storms that's going to impact northeastern Kentucky, basically north of Lexington, north of I-64 corridor there. Again, that's 1 a.m. to 3 a.m. And this is the second round, or I'm sorry, the first round here. This is for Tuesday morning. So again, we have Tuesday morning, 3 a.m. to 7 a.m., Wednesday morning, 1 a.m. to 3 a.m., and Wednesday morning again, 3 a.m. to 7 a.m. So three different time frames to worry about. So again, this first round here for Tuesday morning, more of a hail threat than anything, not a real tornado threat there. For your second round here, let's go ahead and pull that back up once again. Oh my goodness, there's so many. This is the problem with having so many rounds. Your second round here, 1 a.m. to 3 a.m. Wednesday morning, you're looking at more of a isolated wind and tornado threat, low wind hail threat. Again, that is basically north of I-64 corridor, basically for folks north of Lexington and Louisville going toward Cincinnati out there. This is your third round and final round here. It's more of a line of storms going to be diving southeast. You can see we have arrows on each map as well, so you can kind of see the direction of the storms here. And again, all these images are on our Facebook and Twitter, so if I'm going through them too fast, they are already on our social platforms, so you can go look at them. Once again, their final threat here is 3 a.m. to 7 a.m. on Wednesday morning. Again, a low-end tornado threat, higher-end wind threat, low-end, very low-end hail threat with that round as well. So those are your three different rounds there. Again, all that information is on our social medias already. Why is the National Weather Service not making this sound? Amber says, why is the National Weather Service not making this sound as severe as you? I don't know. I'm not going to speak for anyone else, really. And I'm not really sure if I'm making this sound severe. I'm basically just telling you the facts. How people perceive things, that's up to people. How I do is I just tell you the facts as I see them. How they're perceived, I can't really help. I have a different way of informing than they do. We do more broadcasts, more posts, more frequent updates. They update once or twice a day. So I think when they update at about 2 a.m. In the morning here, in about 6 to 8 hours, I think you'll see them upgrade some of the severe probabilities based off of the newest runs. So I really can't talk for anyone else and how they do things. We get this comment, this question a lot, is why are other broadcast stations or other agencies just saying different things? Quite honestly, guys, I don't look at their stuff. I don't, because that impacts my forecast. Right? We make and create our own forecast. We don't look at anyone else's things. We do pay attention to the National Weather Service because they are the ones that issue the warnings and whatnot, right? And the watches. But outside of that, we don't look at other broadcast stations. We don't talk with anyone else. I'm not really sure what the public's perception is with stuff like that, but I can tell you, we have no communication. We don't look at anyone else's things because that waters down our forecast and doesn't make ours, right? So I don't know what they're saying or what their communications are or whatever it might be. But this is just how we see things. This is our forecast for things. So it's mainly northern Kentucky. That's correct, Margaret. So the more north you go, the higher the severe probabilities because you're closer to the low pressure, even on each and every round. So if you look at that once again, so on each and every round, let me go ahead and pull this back up for you once more. Let me pull this over here. So if you look at each and every round, once again, let's just go ahead and start with this one. You can see northeastern Kentucky is included in that one. If I go to this one right here, you can see northeastern Kentucky is included in that one. If I go to this one over here, you can see northern Kentucky, northeastern Kentucky is included in that one. So the more north and more east you go, typically the more you're going to run into the severe weather because you're closer to the low pressure, which is way to our north there. On northern sides of Illinois, going toward north Indiana, even going toward Michigan, where that low pressure is going to track. So the more north, I know it's opposite, right? Usually the more southwest you go in Kentucky is where you're closer to that severe weather because it's warmer. But on this system where the low pressure is all the way to our north there, you're talking about a system that really the more north you go is the more you will run into severe weather. I absolutely think that the more severe weather will be found north of the Ohio River toward Indiana, Illinois, Ohio. I think Kentucky just kind of gets the southern edge of it. So identifying where that southern edge, how far south it really goes, is how we develop our forecast. Okay, I think we're good there. We're kind of just getting the same questions. We're going to go look at some new data that's coming in. Yeah. I think we're good. Just want to make sure I didn't see anything new there. So we're going to go look at some new data that's coming in. We're going to have a new forecast update out probably within the next hour and a half or so. So make sure you're looking out for that. Again, we're both on Twitter and Facebook. Twitter does get it first. I don't know why, but we push posts out. Twitter's goes out first. So if you want the absolute earliest alert, go follow our Twitter and turn on notifications over there, as well as on Facebook, of course. Did I miss someone's stars? I think I missed someone's stars. Why is it coming out like that? Amber, thank you for the 100 stars. I knew I missed that. Thank you for that. Rebecca, thank you for your 50 stars as well. Did I miss anyone else's? I always try to thank everyone that sends those. Thank you guys a lot for that. I appreciate you. And Amber, I hope that answered your question, the one that you asked earlier. I don't try to be mean I hope I didn't sound like mean or anything. I try to be really direct because I think a lot of people have this misperception that forecasting services look at other forecasting services and stuff, and we don't do that because that's how you water down your own forecast. But I just want to make sure that was very, very, very clear. Anyway, we're out of here. I'm gonna go look at some new data, get you guys a forecast update here soon. I'm George Herbig, Chief Forecaster here with Weather Now Kentucky. Until next time, stay safe, Kentucky.